Hello, Aletta. My name is Augy Jones. I coach the women's basketball team at St. Francis Xavier in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. And this is my interview for the recruits who are going to be using your service. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I played for St. Francis Xavier men's team from 86 to 91. I was an assistant coach with the men's team at StFX from 2000 to 2004. We won back-to-back championships that year. Then I was 5 years assistant coach with the St. Mary's men's basketball team from 2007 to 2012. And I've been the coach of the women's basketball team here at StFX. I'm in my 6th year. I started in 2012. Most of the recruits that I've found in the past, and I've gotten better at doing that, were actually going to specific spots where I knew that there was going to be talent. So OBA championships in Ontario, Jewel League, the Junior Elite League in Ontario for female basketball players. Now the OSBA Prep School League is a place where I will go to look for players. Also, there's a tournament in Champlain, in Longueuil, Quebec, outside of Montreal, that Champlain College has. It has in June. It has some of the best AAU provincial team and SAGEP teams all at once. So being on the East Coast, I obviously recruit local athletes, but for me, the best bang for my buck is to go to places where I can see a lot of players play in a weekend. And that's why I say some of the tournaments that I spoke about earlier is the time where I can get the most by spending 3 days in a gym and being able to see the most amount of players. What do you look for in a recruit? I think first of all, for us, there's a certain character of person. We're a very small university, and we kind of punch above our weight class. We're not in a big city. We're in a small town. It's a very Ivy League-like setting, and so you've got to be a person that is maybe not a big city person, someone that likes small town situations, and also someone that really is into working hard. For us to win, we have to work a lot harder than some of the other more talented teams. And so if you're a recruit and you're not really willing to do individual workouts, get in the weight room, and actually sacrifice some of your social life in order to be a player at this U Sport level, then we're not really looking for that player. We're looking for the hard-nosed, mentally tough player who wants to work for any success that they get at the U Sport level. One of the first piece of advice I'd give to anyone who's moving up a level from high school to university is that when you join any team, you're joining a team at the U Sport level that all 15 players that are your teammates were also stars on their team. So that you were because you were on the starting lineup from age 12 to age 18, and mom and dad got to come to the gym and watch you be the star. When you get to the U Sport level, you and your parents have to really be ready for a transition where you might not be the best player on the team, and you have to work to get anything that any playing time that you may get, you have to work for that. And I find that's the biggest transition for a lot of high school athletes who have been stars. They're often put off by the fact that they now have to work very hard just to get a little bit of playing time, especially as a rookie. So I think having that mindset that, you are now connected with a group of, for me, female basketball players who are also the best in their town or the best in their province. So are you willing to come and actually be an elite level athlete and work hard when you get there? I think that when they talk about what should an athlete ask a prospective coach to help determine if that school team is a good fit, I usually say that there's 3 parts to it. First is the academic program, and I was a high school English teacher for 20 years. I have my master's degree in curriculum development, so I'm very much an educator. And basketball is a big part of my life, but it's not the be all and end all. So I think that, athletes who go to schools just to play sports, I think you're making a mistake. I think your first consideration should be, do they have the academic program that you're interested in? The second thing I think you should do, which is pretty important, is check the roster. Look at the players who play your position. Uh, Make sure that the players that are at your position are in their third or fourth year. Because if you have someone at your position who starts and gets significant playing time and they're only in their first year, then when you come, the chances of you taking their spot are slim. So I think looking at the roster and seeing where you fit in would be the second part. And I think the third part, and it gets expensive sometimes, but you need to make a campus visit. You cannot choose a university without going to visit the town or the city that it's in. Similar to buying an $80,000 car or a $60,000 car, you should test drive it. And so, for parents and recruits, I think that spending the money to go out and see the universities that you're thinking about attending is very important. I think that the student athlete, and I stress student athlete, when you get to university, a lot of retention is, can you do the academics? If you're not able to maintain a certain academic average with U Sport, you don't get your scholarship money that was promised to you. You have to have a 65 average in order to get your scholarship money. I also think that, for us to retain players over 5 years, because you can play for 5 years at the U Sport level, you have to be there and be performing academically. So academics at the university level, whether you play sports or not, is very difficult. I asked one of my rookies last year what was the biggest change for her, and she said she had to teach herself. And there's something true about that. I taught high school English for 20 years, and at the high school level, I was very much in, hey, did you get your homework in? Get these notes off the board. I was kind of facilitating the learning. When you get to university level, professors have other things to do besides teach. They do research, um, they do publishing, and so teaching is just part of one of the parts that they do. So oftentimes you're going to go to class and you've got to get to the library. You've got to teach yourself. We've got a study group set up with our university, with our team, but that would be the biggest difference, is that you really got to be an independent learner once you get to the next level. What are my thoughts on Aleta and this recruiting service? I think it's positive. I think that there's got to be a way, even for me in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, which is 2 hours outside of Halifax, an hour and a half from the Halifax airport. uh, I don't get to see a lot of athletes. So if there is a platform where I can see athletes, get the data in order to contact them, and actually see game film, and I'll talk a little bit about game film later on, but I think that, as coaches, we do get an initial interest in a player from a lot of times from highlights or videos or full game videos. And so I think that this service is very effective. And also in Canada, where from Victoria to Newfoundland, it's a lot of space. So if as this program and as this product grows, I think that a young athlete having their information on a website like this, I think is very positive. Speaking of video footage, first thing, and this is from talking also to some coaches that have been at this a lot longer than me, um, video highlights are not the best indication of if the player can play at the next level. And I would say that to coaches and parents that are putting this together. If you can send full game tape, that is better. Why? We see body language on the bench. We see reaction to referees. We see the level of talent that the other team has. So if you look good against a team that's not very good, that's not a great highlight tape. The best highlight tape is to send a full game video of a real good game that you had against a real good team. If you do send highlight videos, there is something to be said for the technology now where you can have graphics and arrows and circles that show you and focus on you making specific plays. So I do think there's room for highlight videos, but if you could see it as highlight videos being an initial hook to get the coach interested, but then full game videos you're going to have to follow up with. And do we watch full game videos? Sure. I mean, same as a recording company that's listening to demos. If the demo tape sounds good, then we'll keep listening. And so if your full game video looks good, we'll keep watching the full game. And again, some of the worst mistakes I think is sending a highlight video that is against teams that aren't very good, and also sending a highlight video that, for example, you get a steal, you're going to take a layup, and you cut off the film because you missed the layup. Like, So I think that you can't just send, if you're going to send a highlight video, make sure it's a highlight over 5 or 6 games. Trying to push highlights out of 2 games gets repetitive, and also a lot of times players didn't do enough in those 2 games to show highlights. If you get highlights over a series of games, 7, 8 games, 9 games, that's much better. Lastly, talking about St. Francis Xavier University, this is our X-Ring. Um, very strong sense of family here, small class sizes, rated one of the best undergraduate schools in Canada. So if you are a high school student and parents of a high school student, and you would like a comfortable, safe environment where your young daughter, young son, could come to do an undergraduate degree, I think StFX is a great place for that. Also, at this particular time, Brian Mulroney, former Prime Minister, is alumni of StFX. He's put $20 million into um, refitting the campus. Our basketball gymnasium has been redone. Our campus is being redone. So we had a really beautiful campus previously. Kind of looked like a Harvard Ivy League type situation. But over the next 2 or 3 years, we're really upgrading the campus to kind of put us in line with some of the other universities and small colleges in Canada, with better wellness centers for students, better workout facilities for athletes, better classrooms, more technologically sound classrooms. So I think St. Francis Xavier is a great university. I have three degrees from here. And also, when we sit around the table at an athletic meeting, every single coach, which is, we have 11 coaches on staff, every single coach has an X-ring. So there's a real family atmosphere. There's a real sense that, when you get here, you are going to make friends. You are going to be um, welcomed here. You are going to have a social life that makes you really appreciate the small town of Antigonish. And when I'm selling this product as a coach, it's very easy for me to do because I have an X-ring. I graduated from St. Francis Xavier University. Thanks very much, Aletta.